Welcome back to the Babbling with Besties podcast. I'm your host, Akasa.
And I'm Melli.
Welcome back, guys.
Yes. I hope everybody's doing well soon and not sick with the Rona.
Right. Rona leading into 2021.
Exactly. So, Casa, how was your
It was
weekend?
good. I never remember what I did the past weekend. I don't know why.
And I'm so glad I asked you first because I'm sitting here like, oh my
What
God,
did
what
I
did I
do?
do?
Yeah, because I'm like, I don't remember. Like, every day seems to run together. So, I don't know. But it was probably fun. So, how about yours? What did you do this weekend?
I honestly have no clue. Well, on Friday, Friday, um, JB had to work. And so I went to my sister in law's house for a couple of hours and was drinking with her. And then I came home, went to bed. Saturday. God, I'm skipping days.
I'm telling you, all the days run together.
Um, well, this was the weekend for my kids to go to my in law. So on Saturday, they dropped off Amaya because she wanted to come back home. Why? I have no clue. So it was just me and her on Saturday. And Sunday, the boys came back. No, I'm lying. Tuesday, the boys came back. So Amaya had us to herself for 2 days. So she was like all in her glory. And then came back, and that's it. Didn't really do anything. Signed up for another class. Another class for the semester. That's about it.
Mhm. So, Melly, what are we gonna talk about today?
Okay, so initially we were going to talk about toxic breakups. But after like doing research and we were discussing everything, we just decided to go. God, I'm like dying over here. We decided we decided to start just make the whole podcast episode about toxic relationships. Oh my God, words! Please stop betraying me. Toxic relationships in its entirety. So we are gonna disclose this information before we begin. It may be it's a trigger warning, pretty much. So we might get into some deep stuff, or we will get into some deep stuff. So if you have traumatic things happen to you in the past, or you're in a traumatic situation, you might not want to continue from here on out. And also, at the end of the episode, we will give you guys crisis numbers in case you need them. And yeah, that's
Yeah.
it. Do you have anything to say?
Yeah, we just want to make sure that, if you are going through something, we have the information for you. We all know some things can be triggering, like Melly said. So, if this gets too much for you, just make sure that you kind of take a break from it, or, you know, just make sure your mental health is taken care of before anything else. So,
Yes, yes. And that's all we want. We just want everybody to be healthy, happy, have a good mental health. I know a lot of our episodes in the future are going to be about your self care and mental health and all that good
mm,
stuff. And so, like, if you need anything, if we can help in any way, let us know. Don't be afraid to get in contact with us. You will always remain anonymous, but we will definitely make sure we give you the hotline numbers at
work.
the end in the
Hmm.
captions.
So today, as Nelly said, we're talking about toxic relationships. So, hopefully not all of us have been in toxic relationships or had toxic breakups. But for those of you that have been in them, um sorry for you because it really sucks. But um
Yeah.
to get into today's topic, um like, we all try to have, well, let me speak for myself. I try to have the benefit of the doubt when it comes to different people, because we all go through things. But at the same time, when it comes down to it, you still have to put yourself first. So, when you are in a relationship and you are trying to make it work, but then you see this person is just like not trying. Um, well, let me just say this. Number one, you can never change a person. A person has to come to the understanding that they have to change themselves.
100%.
So, and it, not to bring, you know what? Yeah, this is perfect because I just saw a clip of it's from this show called Black Love. It's on OWN. And I watched a few episodes of it, but I didn't really get too deep into it. But there was like this clip that's going viral from an episode that happened in the second season. And it was specifically about infidelity, right? So um there was one couple that just they started off explaining, like, we had to go to counseling, and we had to go, I'm sorry, lost my train of thought. But yeah, so they had to go to counseling, but the story began with, I guess, the guy cheating and the woman saying that, it took her 10 years to get over it. And I'm like, that was the first trigger for me, because I'm like, mm, 10 years of trying to, get yourself back to normal, So, uh, but, they stayed together. But um, I've been in a relationship where, I was trying to make it work, and I'm like, I can't do this anymore. So we winded up breaking up. But what happens when you're trying to break up with someone, especially if they're controlling, especially if they are very toxic, they'll do anything to try to get you back. Or not even
Mm,
try to, like, some people try to get you back, but on the other hand, they might try to harass you, or try to bash you on social media. And it's,
they try to hurt.
yeah, try to hurt you, because it's like, oh, you can't leave me. I'm the best thing that happened to you. No, you're not. That's why I'm trying to leave you. Duh. So, um, so what are your thoughts, Melly?
And just to add on to what you were saying, like, um toxic, I cannot say that word right the first time.
Words are attacking us today.
Toxic, I'm telling you, it's terrible. Toxic relationships vary. Like, it can go from like the smallest things to like the most
Mm-hmm.
extreme things. And by extreme I mean like abuse and um threats and all kinds of stuff. Like, it can get really
Right.
really bad. Even sexual assault, which that's a topic in itself, but we will get there. But yeah, so it's a broad spectrum that can go from 0 to
Mm-hmm.
100. So even though you might think, oh well, he only calls me a bitch when he's mad, that's still toxic. Nobody should be calling you
Out of
out of
your
your
name.
name. And vice versa. Women can be toxic too, just as bad
Mm-hmm.
as men. So let's just put that in the air now. But yeah, like, and even controlling you, making you isolated from your friends and family. And that's the worst thing you want to do, is push your close people away, because you know what? At the end of the day, you probably will need them. You don't want to burn the bridges that you have, because there will be a time where you're like, enough is enough. I need to get out. And they might be your only way out, in all honesty. And I do have a story to talk about. I'll talk about it a little later when we start sharing um,
Right.
experiences and stuff.
Um.
But yeah, I just wanted to time that in, because sometimes you think, oh, well, you know, they just put me down when they're upset, or they just call me out my name when they're mad. Like, no, that's
Right.
not acceptable.
So I think as far as like toxic relationships, it all boils down to that person trying to control you to fit what they want you to be. It instead of accepting you for who you are. So just like Melly said, like, trying to it's not necessarily you that's doing it, but your significant other may be like, oh well, I don't want you around your mom that much. I don't want you around your friends that much. Eh,
Yeah. Oh, they don't want the best for you. I only know what's best
exactly.
for you.
So, and I do have this article on what does a toxic relationship look like, um, and it's on Helpline.com. So the first one was lack of support. Your your boyfriend or girlfriend not supporting you, you know, and even if you wanted to do something simple like, hey, I want to throw this little event for my friends, and oh, that's stupid. You shouldn't do that. I
Hmm.
re-
Or even, oh, I want to go to school. Oh, that's dumb. Why do you want to
yeah.
do that? Like,
That was one story that so when I was younger, I was with my son's father, and I remember I was living in New Jersey at the time, and I wanted to go to, I'm trying to think of the name of the school, but no,
Lincoln
not that.
Tech.
I wish I didn't go to that one.
Who knows? What's the one Little Romeo be?
ICDC College.
ICDC college.
Yeah, that's exactly where I wanted to go. But no, it's a school that was like way up north, like in New Jersey. So it probably would have took me like an hour to get there, but I was gonna stay there, like on campus. And I remember like my boyfriend at the time telling me like, oh, how are we gonna see each other? How are we gonna do this? And he made me feel bad about it, to the point where I didn't even want to apply because I'm like worried about what he's gonna think in our relationship. So I didn't even pursue it.
And I bet you
Exactly.
did
Like I
now.
bet I wish I did a lot of things that I could have just been like, you know what, fuck it, So but that was an example to me of like the lack of support. Um, the second one is toxic communication, not knowing how to speak to each other. Sometimes, they'll put you down. They'll say, "Oh, that's stupid." Even if they don't like, when they don't agree with your opinion, it's like, "Oh, that's dumb. That's stupid. That doesn't mean anything."
Or they're hostile, and it says also filled with
Right?
sarcasm.
Yeah. Um.
I mean,
So
I've been like that, and it was
yeah.
cool.
Let's see. So the next one is jealousy, and you know what? I'm gonna touch on this real quick because jealousy, like, I don't know if that's attributed to me being a Taurus, because I can be jealous, because of course like, if I'm in a relationship, I want like time, and but I'm not gonna stop you from seeing your friends. But I've also experienced jealousy where I've had like male friends, and the guy that I was with at the time is like, you shouldn't hang out with them, even though I was friends with them way before I even started dating you. So, boy.
Yeah, what are you doing?
Let's see. So next one is controlling behaviors. Yeah, controlling behaviors are like becoming upset for no reason, even if you're trying to go to the store. It's like, why are you even going to the store? Why? Yeah.
Where are you going? Who you with?
Right.
Why are you doing
And
that?
it's just
Oh,
like, because I've been in toxic relationships where it made me feel so small, like to the point where I'm like, I don't even feel like myself anymore because this person has like put me down so much. But yeah, like that. Even going to the that's why I brought up going to the store. Like that's another example because I remember I was with this guy and I like to take drives because it makes me clear my head, and I like to do it at night because there's like hardly no cars on the road, or whatever. For my safety purposes, because I'm a woman, I'm extra precautious about where I go, and I don't want to get snatched up. Atlanta is like the biggest place for sex trafficking, so I'm like extra precautious, but you can't tell me that I can't go to a certain place, or say like, oh well, even if they don't tell me, they'll make me feel bad about it. Like they're not gonna say, well, you shouldn't go or you can't go. They'll like just have that attitude about it. Like their whole demeanor changes. So, and then you're like, okay, fuck it, I won't go then. And you're just sitting there like, so um but anyway,
right.
let's see. The next one is resentment, holding grudges. It's like, oh my god.
It, they're with me. I'm sorry. They just came upstairs and they're talking and
Who the kids?
doing a bunch of stuff. Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't mean to. I just didn't want y'all to hear it and then
I know I
be
don't
like,
do
"What
that.
the hell?"
I was like, wait, what kids? I didn't even know there was home. So yeah,
Go ahead. I'm
resentment.
sorry.
Next one is dishonesty. Of course, lying. Patterns of disrespect. Calling you out your name. Um, it says casually forgetting events, being chronically late. Just disrespecting your time, disrespecting your body, disrespecting you as a human being. Negative financial behaviors. And that is like, oh Lord, I
Mm.
should have read this before I start talking about it because this is triggering. So, um,
It is.
constant stress, constant stress. That was my last relationship. Constantly stressing about trying to please this person, but it's always an issue. Every time we got together, it was always an issue of some sort. So, let's see, ignoring your needs, lost relationships, so not spending time with your family or friends, lack of self care. Let's see, hoping for change and walking on eggshells. So that was the list of signs of a toxic relationship.
Yes, and I'm just
Yeah,
sitting here looking at him like, "Yep,
yep.
check,
That's
check."
what I went through. That's what I went through. Yep, I also went through that too. Um, so like we said before, if you see any of these signs to where it stresses you out, and other things, it's just like, man, you have to dead that situation because your happiness is way more important than trying to please this person.
Absolutely. And like, I was gonna piggyback off what you said, but I forgot. Now, I do want to clarify one thing, and I know me and Akasha are looking at the same thing, and no, it was not planned, but
Right.
great minds think alike. But in some cases, the relationship can be saved. And I know that we didn't really plan on talking about that, but I was just thinking about it like, all right, well, if it's not as bad, like if it didn't get to a full extent of like full on abuse and and all this stuff and full on anxiety, depression, stuff like that, it could be saved. But it will be up to both of the people in the relationship to do that. And I'm just gonna read off what they have here, and we can go from there. It says, can the relationship be saved? Willingness to invest. So that's like you're both open to and willing to make changes accordingly to make the relationship work. Not make it work, but try to make it work. Acceptance of responsibility. Let's see. Recognizing the past behaviors that have harmed the relationship is vital on both ends. So, yeah, that's just, accountability as well, The next one is shift from blaming to understanding. And I think a lot of people, not just in relationships, but just individuals as individuals, they shift blame all the time. Like I even see like people bickering online about like political
Right.
stuff and stuff, and they always shift the blame. Can't say they can get, and that is toxic. So that's not even in a relationship. So can you imagine what it's like in a relationship? Well, I'm sure some of you. That's why we're here. The last one is openness to outside help, seeking therapy, counseling, anything. Sometimes you have to do it as together. Sometimes you got to do it on yourself, especially when you're the culprit or the issue in the relationship. Because sometimes it's
Right.
like, okay, this person really didn't do anything, and I'm just constantly attacking them. Then yeah, it's me. It's not just them. But from them bearing the all of this heavy weight that you're putting on them, they
Right.
probably need therapy too. And I think that needs to stop thinking in a bubble. Think outside of it. Therapy, people have this stigma that it is for crazy people, that it's not good. We don't need, especially Black people, unfortunately, we don't need anybody to tell us what we've been through or how to deal with it. When sometimes you just need an unbiased person. If you talk to a friend or family member, they're always going to be on the side of whoever they're closest
Right.
to. So it's just like I don't really feel comfortable going to my sister-in-law's to talk about something between me and him, because at the end of the day, that's their brother. They're always going to take up for him, even if he doesn't do right. They're always going to take up for him other than me. And I can say the same thing for my side of the
Right.
family. Or if I tell, well, Akasa's more fair, but at the end of the day, she's going to have my
Right.
back. So, it's nice to have a third party, unbiased, don't know nobody from nobody, just to listen in.
Mm-hmm.
And if both of you are willing to go together, you might find out stuff just from that your significant other venting to the therapist or counselor that you didn't even know. You might learn something completely new,
Right.
and now you might be like, okay, so that explains why that she's like this or he's like this, why he does that. Not excusing it, but sometimes a more timid person could be a result of like an abusive relationship or something. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? So it might explain why they are this
Right.
way. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. And then to touch on like the therapy thing, um, these people, the therapists, psychologists, they're professionally trained. It's not just, you're talking to, me and Melly talk, but to really understand like a deeper dive into my mental health and like what I'm going through, I would rather go to a therapist or a psychologist because they're going to give me more of an insight because they went to school for this. They're professionals. So
Now, but
well, we gotta wait till Melly graduates because I'm definitely going to her.
I'm like, wait, I am in
But
school.
you're not like you're not. I'm talking about like as far as friends versus like therapists. But
Yeah.
but definitely when you get out of school, I'm coming to you. But I don't know how much therapy we're gonna get done because we're gonna be laughing the whole damn time.
You know what? Sometimes you gotta laugh to keep from crying.
Oh man, I got that on my arm too. Laugh now, cry later.
There you go.
Ah,
Oh, wasn't I with you?
uh-huh.
Wasn't I with you when you got that?
Yeah, Fa did it, I think.
I get it. That's besides the point. Let's not. Let's, I'm glad we got a little time to lighten the moment.
Right, right. So, but I did want to touch on, um, it's two sides. I think we were talking about this earlier. How, people are just there's so many dimensions to people. So when I hear stories about if y'all having problems, and not just you but like anybody's having problems in their relationship, I do try to be fair, but like sometimes in my head I'm like, just leave them and like continue to live your life because it's just like some things are not worth my time, I guess. But that's just me. I can't control everybody. So I do definitely understand if you do stay in a relationship that you think is toxic, but then you turn around and say, you know what, we will work this out. And it does have to be on both ends. um you know I totally understand that because everybody makes their choice. And love is love too. Sometimes it's hard to let go of that person, but that person still has to show you that they are willing to change. It can't just be like, oh, I'm gonna change, and then they don't make an effort. So but I did want to also touch on like different types of abuse because um I've been in several abusive relationships where I had a physical abuse relationship, and that's one in itself. And that's when people talk about abuse, I think that's what a lot of people think abuse is. And there's so many other different types of abuse. So emotional abuse and financial abuse, and mental abuse
And emotional
and
abuse.
emotional. Yeah. So I thought I just didn't I say that? No.
What? What? You said physical abuse? Oh, you might have. I don't fucking know, bitch.
so so
You might have to edit that out.
it's emotional, financial, physical, sexual, and verbal. They have elder abuse here, but I mean that's something like don't none of us are elderly, so but I mean that's just as wrong too. But
Right. Maybe that's what I meant. I probably meant to say verbal instead of emotional, and instead emotional came out because I feel like emotional abuse is kind of like unseen. Not unseen, like it's not unheard of, it's not rare, but a lot of people don't think about emotional abuse,
mm,
even though they're good.
yeah, and like feeling like okay, so
Like that.
emotional abuse is defined, or it can be yelling, threats, shaming, humiliation, um, things like that. So, of course, like I said, there's been times where I felt like so small in a relationship to where like I didn't feel like myself because it was just like so emotional, and I felt like it felt so much stress. So but a lot of times if people hear that it's emotion you were emotionally abused, they might write it off as like what are you even talking about, like whatever. Versus if I said, Mel, somebody just hit me in my face, it's going to be something different to where like people take it more seriously. But emotional abuse is just as bad as physical abuse because it's harming your mind, the way you feel about yourself.
And I just want to add a little side note in there. um, psychological abuse and
Yeah.
emotional abuse is the same thing. So if we use those words interchangeably, I don't even know if that's a word, but if we interchange, they mean the same thing. So I just wanted to clarify.
So,
Continue.
but yeah, so the other one is sexual abuse. Um, a lot of times, and I hear, I mean, it can happen to men too, but a lot of times I hear women say, you know, they were forced or coerced into having sex, and not just like the man like physically holding you down and trying to do something to you. It could be like him guilt tripping you, him or her, but like it can be them guilt tripping you into not having sex. And I've been through that like that, and you're kind of like, okay, whatever, let's just do it.
Fine, I'll just hear. Like, no, that's still a form of abuse. And I think a lot of people don't think that you can be sexually
Hmm.
assaulted or raped by your
Right.
partner just because they're your partner. That's not
I
true.
did want to bring something up. Uh, I've been watching this show called "I May Destroy You." It has I want to say this right, Michaela Cole, Coel. It's on HBO, and that show it touches on rape, and it does a good job on not only touching on just what we think rape is, or like the typical definition of rape, but there's all different
Mm-hmm.
kinds, you know. So just like we were just talking about, um, you know, just guilt tripping that person into having sex with you, or making them feel bad just because they don't want to. And then it's kind of like you're just masturbating with my body. And I think a lot of men
Mm-hmm.
don't realize that, because even first of all, a lot of men that I talk to don't even really understand the anatomy of a vagina. But not to get too deep into it, but you know, just hearing stuff like that from, you know, like I know my experiences, but like hearing it from other women, it's just sad to hear, because you feel like if you really don't talk to the right person, you know, not just your therapist, but someone that truly understands that that's wrong, it might be brushed off. People might say, oh, well, you know, it's not that big of a deal. But you're
Mm-hmm.
like, no, I don't feel right about this. Um,
Mm-hmm.
let's see. The other one is, let's see, verbal abuse.
It's so hard to have like a deep, sad, like depressing conversation because usually even if we're talking about COVID or the protests when that was like a thing, not that it's not, but you know, when it was had a time to lighten the moment, and right now it's just like it just that's if you hear us being quiet, we're still
Yeah.
processing a lot of our thoughts, a lot of our feelings, our own experiences. Like, just
You're
give us a
right.
minute, we'll get it together.
Yeah, because it's just like different memories just popping up. Like, and for those of you that have been in toxic relationships, I mean, I'm pretty sure, like, I don't want to speak for you, but like that feeling of like not only like feeling used or just abused, but like feeling stupid, because you're like, how did I not see this before? And
How did I get to this? Why am I not leaving?
exactly. And a lot of times, like, I can look at another relationship and say, why the hell is she with him? Like, you hear him talking to her like that? Why is she, you know, I can do that. But then I'm like, when it comes to myself, I look back on my past and I'm like, why didn't I catch that? You know, so
So there's many reasons why people don't leave when they're in this kind of situation, and even abusive, not just toxic, but abusive relationships as
mm,
well. So some people are afraid to leave. Let's start with that. They're afraid to leave, or they are afraid to be alone. They're afraid that nobody will want them. Especially, I find that common with people that have children, especially like women that have children or multiple children. They're like, oh, nobody's gonna want me with these kids. I mean, I remember when I was in a dark place like years ago in my relationship, and I felt the same way. And I was like, if I leave, nobody's gonna want me. I have 4 children, and blah 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 blah. Even though, realistically, that's the last thing that should be on my mind, because I don't want to get into another relationship if this one was to be done. Not saying that I would never, but that's not on my brain. But that is something that in my mind, I'm like, nobody's gonna want me,
Yeah.
But so why not just stay in this situation? Try to make it better. Maybe it's me. So that's the first one I have. So then I also have there's a lot of people that have children. This one's directed to people that have children, and they want their kids to grow up with both of their parents, not just any parent, their parent. So they'll just stick around in a toxic environment, in a toxic relationship, just to be with their other
Mm-hmm.
parent. I do not support that at all. I mean, I understand, but in my opinion, I don't want my kids, anybody's kids, but I'm just gonna speak on me. Um, I don't want my children to grow up seeing a toxic relationship, because you know what? They're gonna mimic
Mm-hmm.
exactly that. Or they're gonna see that and think it's normal. Just like you're growing up, if you're growing up seeing your dad calling your mom a bitch and a hoe, you're probably gonna grow up calling women that too. And vice versa. When a woman says, "Oh, you ain't shit," da 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 da, their son or their daughter is gonna grow up thinking that that's
Right.
okay, or that if you get into an argument, that's the way to solve it. That's not. It's not healthy for you. It's not healthy for your mental. It's not healthy for your children. It's not helpful for your significant other either, but we're just gonna take them out the picture because maybe they not shit. But instead of sitting around dealing with it just because, and I get that you might love them, you might love them to death, but sometimes you have to leave that situation where it's not good for you. It's not good for your health. It's not good for your emotions, your psych almost says your psychology, your your psyche. It's not good. So there's the next one I have is people think that it'll get better. Oh, even if it never does, you can keep forgiving them. And oh well, he promised me or she promised me that she'll change. She'll stop cheating and she'll stop lying and she'll stop hitting me. Um, it'll get better. It'll get better. She's in a better mood recently, so it seems like it's
Right.
getting better. That's a lot of the time the not it. It ain't it, sis.
Ain't
Get
it,
out of
bro?
there. Exactly. And some people are just in flat out
Mm-hmm.
denial.
And the thing about it, it could be many factors. Like it could be a financial factor. A lot of times when, um, right.
To next. Yeah. Financial insecurity. I'll
Yeah,
get into
because
that one.
you find like sometimes, okay, so you, a lot of times when I see like celebrities and specifically like I watch Marriage Boot Camp, right? And I'm like
Mhm.
looking at some of these people and I don't really know if it's financial, but like I don't it when I see some of these rappers or some of these celebrities and they're constantly like belittling or doing things to their wife or whatever, it's kind of like they get some of these women off the street, not off the street. I'm not gonna say off the street, but like they get a woman that is not, first of all, even in their tax bracket, and then they make her dependent on him, and that's
Mm-hmm.
another form of toxic. Let me say it right, toxicity. Because you're making this person feel like they're obligated to stay with you because you're controlling them with money.
Mm-hmm. I agree. It's just like, say that your significant other isn't working right now, and you're constantly holding that over their head, or um, like say me and Akasa are together, and I she's not working, I am, and we live together, and I treat her like shit, cursing at her, screaming at her. Not, I don't even have to go as far as her, but she's in a funk all the time now. She has like no self worth. She's depressed. She's just here. She might not be able, not she might have it in her mind that she's not able to leave because she doesn't have the means to make it out
Yeah,
there alone. So I'm glad you brought that up. Financial insecurity was definitely the next thing I was gonna bring up, because that's
yeah,
a big one. Um, and I also have fear for their well being, and I actually have a story to tell. It's not my story, thank God. And you'll see why. But some people are just afraid that that person will retaliate. They'll come, and sometimes the people will threat their significant other, like, I'll kill you if
right.
you ever leave. So I remember my mom telling me a story about, I don't remember who she was. I'm not gonna tell her name anyway, but I would just say a lady that she knew. And she was in a really bad relationship, abusive relationship. And she finally got the courage to leave. And so she went to a all woman shelter, and the guy would constantly come and try to get her to talk to him. And they wouldn't allow him in. Clearly, this is why she's here.
Exactly.
Why are you here? She's seeking shelter from you. Why are you
Mhm.
here? So one day he convinced her to come outside and talk to him. I can't go inside, so I'm gonna get you to come out here to me. Don't you know this guy shot her in her
Mhm.
head and killed her in front of the shelter?
That's so sad. So
Hmm.
sad.
And so, like, again, trigger warning. And this is getting me in my feels too, because it's one thing to get told that, but it's another thing to tell that story, especially when
Right.
it's a true story. And like, you do see these stories online, on the news. You do see these things, so it happens. But it's another thing when you know somebody that knew
Right.
that person. Oh, I actually do have another story. So when another friend of mine, that I'm close to, she is friends was friends with this lady, and she had, I want to say, 4 kids, and her husband, and they lived in Pennsylvania, not far from here. And um, the husband was very, again, abusive, just narcissistic, everything. So she finally was like, you know what? I'm leaving. I'm going to take the kids with me. Don't you know? She went back to get her stuff, and he shot her and 3 of the kids. And the one daughter, she escaped through a window. I guess she heard all the commotion, escaped through the window. He shot
Right.
himself.
Oof, Lord.
And just, oh, she was like, I think she was like 9. Like, she was
Yeah.
young. So, like, you don't want to let yourself get so far into that relationship that it gets to that point. I mean, some people are just fucking crazy. Quite frankly, that guy was crazy. Both of those guys that I just told y'all about were crazy. But you can't let them, and this is gonna be our segue into our next topic on this, is you can't let them lure you to think that, oh, yeah, just come get your stuff, it'll be fine, or oh, just come talk to me, I just want to talk. You don't know what will
Exactly.
happen. And of course, every relationship is not like this. Not everybody is like this. Just because you're in a toxic relationship does not mean it will be like this. Sometimes you might be able to walk away, dust your hands off, and be like, I'm done. A weight is lifted off of me. But sometimes you might not be able to make it that far. So, depending on the situation, you have to act accordingly, and you have to try to catch it before it gets too
Right.
far gone. And I do have a little side note before we move on. Just that if you don't leave, you stay in a relationship. Um, sorry, I'm all winded. I get all
Well, one thing I wanted to just say, you know, like as I was hearing you talk, um, giving up is a lot of times when I hear like people talk about like staying in a relationship, working it out, just like I was mentioning in that episode on Black Love, the TV show, a lot of things that I was hearing from these couples were like, we worked it out, we made it work and stuff. But it's like, that's why I said you have to think about yourself first, because it's not only about like, you loving this person and trying to make it work. That person may be disrespecting you to the point where you can't even function and feel like your normal self.
mm-hmm,
So then when you want to do something for yourself, it's kind of like you have to check in with this person to make sure that it's okay. And it causes a dependency, because not
mm-hmm,
you're not doing it on purpose, but it's just that person has conditioned your mind to be like, you need to think about me before you think about yourself first. And I just saw this today. You can't pour from an empty cup. If you are drained and you can't even give yourself, especially people with kids, like, we all have to take care of our kids. For those that have them, we all have to take care of our kids because they didn't ask to be here. But at the same time, you can't give them anything unless you are full, unless you have not you can't give them something that you don't even have. If you don't have that much
mm-hmm.
love, because it's like you've been put down, you've been just you're not even in love with yourself, then how are you gonna love somebody else? That's what RuPaul says. That's what she says. If you what did she say? If you don't love yourself, how the hell are you gonna love somebody else? That's what she says that all the time. And that's so true, because it's like you have to also show people how to love you. And if they don't want to follow how you want to be loved, then kick them to the curb, because they can't change how you want. Like I said before, they can't change how um they want or you feel about yourself, or they shouldn't change that at all. So
Right. So, I do just want to add this. Not letting you, if you're in a toxic relationship, I said previously that yes, you might be able to salvage your relationship if both of you guys are in. However, not leaving, no matter what degree you're on, 0 or 100 or in between, um, at one degree it could lead to anxiety, depression, and also thoughts of suicide. And especially if you feel as though you can't get out, for whether it's financial insecurity or fear of your life, you definitely they might have those thoughts like the only way I can escape and just be free again is suicide. And that's not true. So please, if you ever thought that, please do not think that. I've been there before. And I don't want any, I really wish that I can help everybody that ever had those thoughts because it's not a good feeling. And I hope I never get in that space again. Um, or even self harming. That might be a thing too. Or in self harming doesn't necessarily only mean like, oh, cutting and all that, but self harming could
Devices.
be I know I'm a smoker. I never used to drink, now I drink. Or I used to drink a little bit, now I'm a fucking alcoholic because I can't figure out
Right.
how to cope. Or that's still self harm because you're harming yourself, your body,
Mm-hmm.
everything. So again, we will give you all the numbers and even a text hotline at the end of this podcast. Put it in the caption for anybody that may or may not need it. Um, I
The,
had to trying to get
I
myself
know.
together.
I'm like
Sorry.
so emotional right now. I'm like, ugh.
I, well, it turns. It, you know what? Honestly, when we thought of this, it was like Akasa had went through a little breakup, and just the after effects of what the guy was doing, like that's what made us think of this topic, and like it went from there to deeper to deeper to deeper to the darkest place that we could possibly go.
Exactly.
So it's difficult for us, and we're although we have like a whole itinerary, like 3-page itinerary written out, like we kind of still winging it, like we're going by it, but we're also like putting in
Mm.
extra stuff. So bear with us.
Right.
And as well, we've been through a lot of this stuff, whether it's physical abuse, emotional abuse, sexual assault. I don't think that we'll touch on that too much, but we've been there, so we're kind of reliving it as we're talking to you guys. We want to be 100% transparent, especially since it's
Mm-hmm.
real and we can relate. So we want to try to show you how we made it out of these situations as well, and how to identify it, because um I know before I said denial, that's a big one, because some people are like, oh
Nothing's
no, I'm not.
wrong.
Just like, exactly, that's not true. Oh, we just fight this, that, and the other. Everybody fights. Yeah, but everybody doesn't call each other names at these fights. Some of these fights are
Mm.
horrible when they don't have to be. It's normal to have arguments, but arguing every day or constantly feeling like, why am I here? Feeling alone, feeling just misplaced, like you're just existing.
Mm.
That's not normal.
It really isn't.
You're alive, but you're not living.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Oh, that's what I wanted to touch on when you were talking about like the girl that was at the shelter and I guess her husband or whoever she was dealing with shot her.
I don't know, but they were
Yeah.
together.
I think so a lot of times that's another thing that I wanted to touch on. A lot of times when uh we all do have choices to leave, but we also have to think about the conditioning of how we perceive relationships, if that makes sense. I hope I said that right. But like a lot of times, like we grew up in black households, but and a lot of times we hear, and not only that, but like you hear that on social media, like my grandparents stayed together for a long time, and but at the same instance, your grandfather could have been abusive to your grandmother for 40 years, and all of a sudden he stopped because he got old. But
Mm-hmm. He couldn't physically beat
it's
her anymore,
exactly not
so
because it was
that's,
morally wrong, but it's because he couldn't do it anymore. But you're so proud of that. Of course, like, you know, being together for so long in a happy relationship is beautiful. When you can find that person that you can stay with forever, I think that's great. But then even talking to my grandma used to tell me all types of stories about her friends, and it's stuff that we as women go through, and people say, you know, stick it out, you know, make sure your man is happy, and it's like, well, what about me? And even going down, like, physical abuse is not taken seriously when it comes to women. There's so many stories to where, you know, I hear ignorant people say, well, you know, why didn't you, it's her fault because she's staying there. And then it's like, I understand why, though, because there's so many different factors. This man could be controlling her with money. This man could be physically abusing her. This man could have threatened her life or her family's life. So things like that. But all those things shouldn't be a factor to when it comes down to a abusive relationship to where you are being harmed physically, because the only thing that you should be worried about is that person that is doing the harming, and how we're gonna get him to stop, whether it be the police, whether it be him being locked up. But some, and even in that, going through, you know, the justice system, sometimes that's not even taken seriously. You can get all the restraining
mm.
orders in the world, but sometimes cops don't even take that seriously, and it's not fair. It's definitely not fair to women.
Yeah, so breakups are usually not good, like as far as the turnout.
Yeah, you can have a
Um,
really bad breakup.
oh my God. So I have two definitions for you. For the same word, two
Mm.
definitions. And this could go for in the relationship or outside of the relationship. Like inside the relationship, like what I mean that by that is the duration of the relationship as well as after the breakup. And it is
Mm-hmm.
gaslighting. So, gaslighting, the first definition that I have is a tactic in which a person or entity, in order to gain more power, makes a victim question their reality or their own sanity. And the second definition I have is manipulating someone by psychological means into questioning their own sanity.
Mm. Oh, you're
Which you're
crazy. No, you're fucking psycho.
no, you're fucking idiot.
Yeah, like,
And this lying, you know what? You know what gaslighting is? Have you ever been with somebody that cheated on you and you had proof, hard proof, or you seen it and they said, "Oh no, that's not true."
mhm.
No, you didn't see that.
And
Bitch, yes I
they're
did.
dancing around, and then they'll try to bring up, well, I remember when you went to the store on April 23rd, you might have cheated on me then. They try to put the blame on you.
And that's another one. They blame. They could be doing what's wrong, but they'll blame you for it.
Hmm.
Or it's just like, oh well, I'm doing dirty. I bet you she's doing dirty too. Like, no, bitch, that's just you. Stop being an asshole. And if you're gonna cheat, just go. Why cheat? Just break up.
Mm-hmm.
Because you clearly don't give a fuck that much. That's another topic for another day. Let's see. Um. So they use what is near and dear to you as ammunition.
Mm.
That's just like using the kids against you.
Yeah.
I know a lot of women do that too. Um, let's see. their actions don't match their words. It's just like, oh baby, I love you. Now let me run you over with the fucking car.
Mm-hmm.
You up every day. I mean, I shouldn't. I'm not making a joke out of it, but some people be doing it, or even like I forget what movie I watched, but I watched some movie where the guy would like burn the girl, like he'll ash his put out his cigarette on her.
Oh shit! Oh Lord, I don't want to watch that.
Yeah.
You know
Um.
what? Not to make a joke. I'm sorry. That make me think about the Joker and Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
Toxic is fuck because I mean both of them were. Joker was very abusive to her, but that
Mm.
really makes me think like just being in that relationship, and then when they, I know it's a damn cartoon, but that's actually what popped up in my head, like just
Well, no,
being.
it's relevant because you know people are idolizing their relationship. How many times have you seen pictures of Harley Quinn and Joker?
They're like, oh, goals.
Goals. Yeah.
No, it's not.
Anybody that actually knows their story would never say that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's romanticized in Hollywood, but if you're a true person into comics, that is not it. That's not it, sis. Don't
Mm-hmm.
say that because it's not it.
And then it's like, I know it happens, but then it's like, why isn't it? I mean, I'm not saying it's bad to show, but the it is romanticized. Why isn't it shown as she needs to get out of this relationship or they need to just break up instead of staying together? But like I said, it's a cartoon, but even that, like, that kind of bothers me a little bit more because even that's a cartoon that kids watch. So
Mm-hmm.
now kids are seeing that and saying, "Oh, I want this relationship."
Mm-hmm. Another big thing is oh, we already addressed this. They project. So
Yeah.
that's what I was talking about, like when they say, oh, well, I'm a cheater, or oh, I do drugs. Um, that means that they're doing it too.
Mhm.
Just assuming, oh, well, I'm doing dirt, so you are too. So
Yeah.
that's projected. They're using their own behavior and making it so that you're the bad guy
Mhm.
when you're not.
And
They,
I've seen that in relationships to where it was like I said, anything that I did, it was like me going to the store, me uh just opening my laptop. Oh, who's on there? You talking to somebody on there? Why is your phone ringing? And then in your mind you're like, I'm not even really doing anything. But then what I've learned is, of course, like they're the ones that are doing something wrong because they're trying to put in your head that you may or may not doing something wrong, but I'm watching you, and it takes the focus off of them.
mm-hmm, when they really doing dirt.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so these two go hand in hand. So I'll just say them together. They tell others that you're crazy, and they also tell people that you're like a liar.
Mm-hmm.
So they just lie on you to make people think that you're. Oh, actually, all three of these because there are three different ones. The other one is they try to align people against you.
Yeah.
So they all go hand in hand because by telling people that you're a liar and by telling people that you're crazy, of course people are going to be more against you because they don't want to be involved with somebody like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's other ones in here, but that's pretty much it. Um, so yeah, that's the gist of gaslighting, and all of this information is on Psychology Today. I will make sure that we put the links to um, Psychology Today and it, as well as um, what was the other one? I have it up here. I just can't find it. Helpline.com.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that was the other one. That was the first one I pulled from.
So, as far as toxic breakups, okay, so that was one. That was a big one because I wanted to name that one first because that one is the largest category that can go in the duration of the relationship as well as after the relationship. And a lot of people cannot identify it. I mean, some from an outsider looking in, you can probably see it, but when you're in this situation, you might not think of it that way.
Right.
There's another reason why I love that my major is psychology because I've learned so much. And I have to say, like, I think that I was able to identify things that I've suppressed over the years and kind of like just pushed back in my head and just forgot about it just from finding out what I found out so far. It's just I was able to help myself. Not saying that I don't need therapy. I think we all need therapy. But
Yeah.
yeah, I was able to find out things that I pushed back in the back of my mind and just forgot about.
Mm-hmm.
And I know Akasa, you're probably like, I know what you're talking about. I'm not gonna get into it. I'm not there yet. Whenever I am there yet, I will share with you guys. But um, yeah, like I had a memory that came out of nowhere from years ago, before I was married and before I was in the relationship that I was before him. It's been years. So like I'm so glad that I've learned what I've learned and even like different techniques on, like even all this stuff I've already learned. It's nice to have a little touch up. But anyway, back in focus. I say all that to say I'm so glad that I will be a therapist one day because I that's one reason why I wanted to go into psychology is because I feel like being a black woman, we I see that it's a stigma out there about black people going to therapy, and I feel like some people think that therapists can't relate, or they'll see like, oh, it's a bunch of white people or a bunch of whatever other race other than black.
Yeah.
Can't relate to what I've been through my lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what made me go into psychology. All right, so next. So the next on the agenda for toxic breakups, um, begging for forgiveness slash I'll change. And that, they never do, because if you change or you can change, why didn't you
Right.
change? Or when I gave you all these million chances before we actually up, why didn't you change?
Mm-hmm. Why does it take you
So
to? Why does it take an extreme as breaking up to make you change? And even that, I don't even believe that those people that say, well, you know what, I'll change. I just want you in my life. I just want you back. That's all your goal is, or your intentions is, just to pull me back in, not to actually change. I had a
mm-hmm,
friend that I'm not even in a relationship with this person, but like we have had a friendship. And I remember I talked to that person a couple months ago. I told them what the problem was, and I was just like, I'm just gonna dead the situation because it's like beating a dead horse. There's no reason for me to tell you certain things, and then even if you don't agree, you don't even consider it. So fast forward to now, present day, this person hit me up again. And like I said, I do give the benefit of the doubt, but as I learned, like as I said before, I need to see that you actually made an effort without me to change. But this person came back and they were texting me talking about, well, you know what, let's try to be friends again and stuff. Okay, well, I'm asking them about like how they feel about certain things that I brought up as a problem. And they were like, well, no, let's just be friends. They just like totally, and I'm like, you didn't even make an effort to change. You don't even care about changing. And they're like, I just love you,
right.
and we just be like, I don't. I love. I anybody knows me, anybody that are anybody else that's friends with me, I love my friends to death. If I find someone, because I don't want to call myself strange, but I when I find someone that I could be like, like myself with, and I could, because a lot of times when I meet people, it's like, you got to kind of reserve yourself, because I'm like silly and I do like weird stuff, but, but so when that's why me and Melly's friendship is so strong, because she just look at me and be like, all right, bitch, like whatever, but at the same time she's accepting of who I am, you know.
Or right along doing it right with you.
Exactly. So, but when I find people like that, they're like, you know what, do what you want. I don't care, like, as long as you're safe, as long as you're happy or whatever. And then they come right along with me and do some crazy stuff. Like, I cherish my friendships and my relation, or if am in a relationship. But when it comes down to it, number one, I can't change anybody. They have to be willing to change, um and it's all up to that person. But that's another thing I was gonna say. You don't have to deal with it. I know a lot of times, the perception is, stick around, they're your friend, and then, it's timing and effort and everything like that. But it's like, you also have to try. You have to try to be a better person, so it's just, oh my gosh, it's a lot. But like I said, I keep on saying this: put yourself first, because you can't give someone something that you don't have. If you don't have self-love, how are you going to love somebody else? If you don't have respect for yourself, how are you going to expect someone to respect you?
Mhm. I agree. All right. So the next one is trying to lure them back.
Ooh,
All
I
right,
got a
and
story to
I'm gonna
tell.
put in these. um, oh, like saying, "Oh, do you want to hang out?" Or "Oh, let's just have a sexual relationship," or just one more time for old. That
Yep.
is toxic. Don't. I did that before. Um,
Shame on you.
oh my god, that's the story that I will tell later. But yeah, I did do that after all that crap. Oh god, I gotta tell y'all that story after we get done with this. You want to tell your story,
So
Akasa, while we're on this
yeah,
topic?
so oh my god, this is so trash. But yeah, after I was in a relationship, and Melly knows. I told her, she not she, he freaking, like a few days later, I had okay, number one, this got so bad to where I had to block this person. So first, it was through text message. It was like not necessarily begging me back, but it was like saying little things to get me to engage in conversation. So he would send me different songs. He would send me little things that he knows I like. But I was just like, this is annoying, because I'm like, you never did this. You knew this stuff about me, but it wasn't like while we were in the relationship, you were texting me like when we weren't together saying, hey babe, remember this song or that. He never did that. But like all of a sudden we break up, you want to be sending me songs that I like, or songs that remind him of me, So I wanted to block it, or yeah, I blocked him on my phone, and then I got messages on social media. So it's just like, why didn't you get the message before? Like, I don't want to talk to you at all. But it was just like constant messaging that would try to reel me back in, like, I'll give you head. I don't want any head from you. I want you to leave me alone, sir. Like, don't hit me up no more. And like, that's the thing.
Give me that
Right, like I don't want
nose.
that, because it's just like, I mean, it was decent, but I'm not gonna sacrifice my happiness.
First of all, it was decent. So in other words, it was
I
trash.
mean, I mean, I always say like if it was trash, it was trash. But like I say decent because like I came, so I'm like, oh, okay, whatever.
Well, I'm not gonna put your business out there, but I know something you can do, and he ain't make you do it. I'm just gonna say that he was.
But it's like, okay, I'm saying it was okay because it's like I've had better, but then I've also had like real trash head. So not to get into like the sex stuff, but it's just like I have had like really trash head, and then it. It's always a variation. So, but it was okay. But that wouldn't make me go back to you. That's not gonna make, even if you gave
Right.
amazing head. It's like nah, never.
Nah, this ain't it. But first of all, even how dare you offer me some mediocre ass as leverage? All right, anyway, I'll go Paul for you. How dare you? You just and you sit here to, oh well, let me just, no, bitch, I already wanted when you was giving it to me when we were in a relationship. Why would the hell would I want to go?
Right.
All right, anyway, let's get back
But it's just like it shouldn't
to
be.
this.
You're right. It shouldn't be leverage because if you were, it all comes down to this. No matter like what that person said, you should have been doing this when we were together. Even I got offered, like, okay, the one of the problems was we weren't going out, and it was because of COVID. But some things we can do, like take a walk, doing, simple things like going to the store together, doing, simple things. He wouldn't do it. After we broke up, it was like, hey, you want to go to the mall? Hey, you want to go to, go shopping? Do you want to go out to dinner? Do you want to do this? Where was this energy when we were together?
Right. Now that we're broken up and you want to try to weasel your stinking ass, mediocre head having ass way back in. Now you want to do everything that so what you're telling, and I will have to tell Akasa, like, he's showing you that he knew what the issue
Didn't
was
even
and didn't care
care.
to fix it so therefore he don't
Hmm.
deserve you. And especially, like, I remember you were telling me, like, on your way to his house you be like,
Hmm.
just be drained. You didn't even want to go. Don't You can't put yourself in that situation. It's
Yeah.
no reason for it.
And that's something that I had to, because I'm stubborn. So, but that's something that I had to learn. I had to learn to. I keep on saying this: put myself first, because I'm like, I can't. I have a child,
Mm-hmm.
and my child is seeing this, and I don't want him growing up thinking he could do the same thing. He can just be like, "Well, I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that," and never fall through. And then all of a sudden they break up, and whatever. It's very, very toxic. So.
Yeah. Um. Well, you already covered this, harassing them after the
Block,
breakup.
block, block.
Exactly. That's constantly calling, constantly texting, constantly DMing, instant messaging, um, coming to the house
Mhm.
unannounced, coming to your job unannounced. That's not okay. You need to call the police. Because at that point, I already said I don't want nothing to do with you. Why are you still
Right.
harassing me? You
Mhm.
gotta go. And I don't want it to be a situation where, like the story I told earlier about the lady that went to the shelter, and he was calling and doing this and then doing that, and then when she finally came there, it was like, all right, well, maybe if I just talk to him, he'll go away. She ended up
Mhm.
dying. It might not be so dramatic or drastic, for that matter, not dramatic, drastic, but you never know. You never know nowadays. There are women out here being killed because they are not taking guys' numbers or giving them the attention when they're trying
Right.
to talk to them. Like, they need help. Y'all need help. Y'all are willing to go away forever for killing somebody that you don't even know because they don't
Mm-hmm.
want your number? Y'all need help. Y'all don't need a number. Yeah, you need a number. You need a number to a psychologist.
Exactly.
Some help
Or
you.
learn that. Okay, so that's one thing that I see when it comes to relationships between men and women. It's that controlling thing, and not just like being abusive, but because you could be controlling without being abusive. But as far as like, get in a relationship and looking at your partner as just your girlfriend or just your boyfriend, or well, I'm speaking as far as ladies, just putting us in a box. So, and that all leads to, how men perceive us. They look at us and think we're items, objects, or we're obligated to talk to them. And I see that a lot when it comes to men when they're like, "Oh, she should gave me her number," and then you go off, call her a bitch, or even more so, like put your hands on her. And it's like, how dare you? And men need to stop thinking. Well, number one, men need to stop thinking that women are their possessions. That's number one. And then number two, we're not obligated to do anything with you, even as far as
Mm-hmm.
um, a man going on a date and expecting sex. Yeah, there's people that do have one night stands or like go on a date and sleep with that person or whatever. But it still has to be a mutual choice. It can't just be it or a consenting choice. It can't just be you trying to push her to do it. Like if she's comfortable with it, yes. But you can't just be like, oh well, you're obligated just because I spent $50 at Applebee's. Like that's all you think I'm worth just to
Right.
get sex?
Right. I can't tell you how many dates that quote unquote dates I went on that was like at the end or towards the end, like, oh, so what we doing after this? Going to fuck
Right.
home? Like, so only reason why you wanted to talk to me, and unfortunately, these were from guys that we went to school with,
Yeah.
or like the one dude was like, I went to school with him for years, like from, um, if you're from where we're from, there's a school called Arbor Elementary, and you go there before you go. I'm trying to think. I think you go to Grandview, then Arbor, then I'm missing a school. But anyway, we went to school, and Arbor was like, I think like second grade, third grade. We were in school together that far back, and you had the audacity, like you don't know
Right.
who I am. You're treating me like you never, and like when I say go went to school, like we were in the same class for years. Cause like you don't start getting like multiple classes until
Grade
you get into
school,
like middle
yeah.
school and high school. We were literally in the same class for
Hmm.
years. And like that's how you treat somebody that you pretty much
Yeah.
grew up with. Well, I guess they don't care, but it was
Yeah, some people
mind
don't
boggling.
care. And it that's the sad part. It really is, because like I said, it may be different factors. It may be the friends that they're hanging out with. It may be, their family not truly explaining to them like, hey, this is not right, or don't do this. I actually have another story that like it just popped in my head. It kind of freaked me out because now looking back at it, I'm like, something could have happened to me. But I was on a date and we went to, if you live in Atlanta, it's actually closed now. Now I'm freaking mad because they had good tacos. But it's called it was this restaurant called Front Page News. They really did, like, I like their tacos. But it's this restaurant called Front Page News. And I went on a date there, and I remember I went. It was probably like 7, 8 o'clock or whatever, and we actually had a good time. We had a really good time, and I was just like, I really like this guy. So after we got out, I had went across the street to the gas station because I needed gas, and we were talking and whatever. And he was just like, well, I really like you and I don't want the night to end. Like, it's early. Do you want to go somewhere else? And I was just like, well, sure. So he's like, all right, so
Mm.
I'm done with my gas or whatever. Just, either follow me. And I'm like, well, let me just get the address or whatever. So he sends me the address. But something in my mind was like, you need to Google this address and see where, like, what is actually around it. Because it seemed like a residential address. Like a lot of times, like I said, if you
Mm-hmm.
live in Atlanta, you kind of know that certain streets are not are side streets, and like certain streets are main streets, like Flat Shows Road that has a lot of bit, or Moreland, or Glenwood. Like those are streets that are main streets, right? So, but it just was like an odd name. So I'm like, okay, where is this place? So I Googled it and it was like somebody's house. And I'm like, and I was just like, what is this? So then he said, well, no, we was gonna stop at my house real quick and you can hop in my car. No, no, no. Where are we actually? I was just like, you know what? Because I already knew what it was. I was like, you know what? I'm so glad I didn't. I followed my intuition and like heard the little voice in my head saying like, "Don't do it, don't go," because God forbid what would have happened to me.
Right. What the hell? I don't know if you can
I
hear all
I hear
this
it now.
chaos down. I'm telling you, like, don't y'all got? Isn't it past y'all bedtime? Aren't y'all
Yeah, it's like
tired?
almost 10.
And that's just me with the kids. It's not just the kids. He must be playing video games. But yeah, if I know at that time me and you had our issues, one of our issues. So, but if I was in the picture at that time, I would have definitely been like, "Don't go,
Yeah.
bitch."
It was just like
They
very
impo-
it was terrifying, and imagine that person doing it to like someone younger that doesn't have that knowledge of like, you know what, let me listen to my voice, or listen to my intuition. And God forbid what how many girls, like I said, Atlanta is the biggest sex trafficking city. And it's so sad because it's just like I said, is these men out here. That's another thing I was gonna say. Men listen. I don't know how many men listen to the show, but y'all need to step it up. Cause there's probably tons of men that that will sit there and talk ish about like, I would mess with a 16-year-old, or I would, abuse a woman or whatever. They're not gonna verbalize it like that, but the way they say things, like, oh, that bitch ain't nothing or whatever. Y'all need to step up and say something to these guys. Cause God forbid that was your daughter, your niece that they were messing with. You would let him do that?
that's another topic because I have a story, not really a story, but something that happened with a celebrity. Um, but that's another topic for another day. All right, so then we also have you making or blaming you for what they did wrong or what went wrong in the relationship, which that goes along with gaslighting, making you feel
Mm-hmm.
bad, stuff like that. Makes excuses for their behavior, and I see this so many times. Like, oh well, what's one that a lot of people use their zodiac signs for
Yeah.
excuses too?
I do that. So that's why I was just like, I I'm stubborn, and I don't know if it's attributed to my me being a Taurus.
Right? Like, I mean, I'm not super like 100% with the stars in the sky. Do I believe some kind of correlation between the two? Yes, but um, it the stars aligning in a certain way and you being a shitty person is not gonna equate. Um, so, or oh well, you know how I was raised. Yes, but at some point we know right from
Right.
wrong. Um, and the last one I have is like forced sex. So like say you try to leave or you give them another chance to explain themselves and they try to force you into being intimate with them, or even like force a kiss.
Mm-hmm.
um that's not good. That's not good. So yeah, that's what we have for toxic breakup. I don't know if you had any more, but that's the ones
Oh
I had
no, I think
for.
like we were everything. I think we like wrote down the same thing.
Yeah. So yeah, I just think that getting out of that situation is the best
Mm.
option. Yes, if it's not as bad and you think it's salvageable, if I'm saying that right, um, then work on it. As long as you guys are on the same page,
Yeah.
work on it. I mean, we've okay, so I'll tell this story. So there was a point in time where, and we were younger, so both of us, like, I think both of us were to blame. Um, well, I'll tell the story. You tell me who's to
Yeah.
blame. Because I'm sitting here like I don't know about both, but I'm not gonna sit here and act like I'm a saint because I'm not. Um, but I don't think I contributed to any of this. So after I had my son, there were me and my now husband. So clearly it got better if we got married. Um, we like we kind of for whatever reason we just got into a bad space, and um he did call me. He never called me like a curse word, but he did say I was like fat and stuff, which of course hurt because I just carried your son. You know
Right.
what I mean? So like what are you talking about? Um, but I got into this deep depression. Excuse me, and I remember I would not eat. I didn't eat for like a week, and it wasn't even that I was trying not to eat. I wasn't even
Right.
hungry. Like I was disgusted. I start having chest pains really bad. I start exercising. I did exercise like a lot. I literally and when I tell you this, you will know it's not healthy. I literally lost 10 pounds in a week,
Mm.
and it's probably because I wasn't eating. I was so now I can say I was depressed. Um, I remember one time coming home and I was, stressed out. With depression there's stress. Um and I remember having this tight chest pain. I was like, "Oh my god, something is wrong. Am I having a heart attack?" I was young. I was like in my early 20s. I'm like, "Am I having a heart attack?" So, and literally I lived up the street from the hospital, so I drove myself to the hospital, went to the ER, and they did a bunch of tests on me and everything. And you know what they told
What?
me? They diagnosed me with anxiety.
Mm.
It was so bad that I felt like I was literally having a heart attack. I couldn't breathe. Like my chest was tight. Like when I say tight, it felt like somebody was in there with like pulling at my
Mm.
chest, physically pulling at my chest, not just, oh, well, I'm making like literally, I was literally sick because of my anxiety. And I was like an emotional wreck. Literally, I one time I went to my kid's doctor's appointment, and they, like when you have a baby, they're like, "Oh, well, how are you doing?" They weren't my doctor, but they always ask that. Oh, check over the baby. How are they doing? Blah blah blah. How are you doing? And I literally burst into tears. I couldn't even utter a
Mm.
word. And that doctor actually prescribed me gave me a prescription. They were like, and I don't even want to say that it was I can't even think of the name of it. Um I'm drawing a blank. When you get depression from after you have a baby.
Oh, postpartum.
I can't.
Postpartum.
What was it? Yeah, postpartum depression. I can't even say it was that because I had no issue with me doing anything with my babies or my kids because I had two. Yeah, I was trying to figure out which pregnancy it was, but so yeah, like I went through all that. I was like literally an emotional wreck. Like I could literally be doing nothing and start crying, start shaking, going. I started having panic attacks, anxiety attacks, everything. And there were other factors. I won't go into that contributed to all of this, but we were just not at a good place. And I'm so glad that, so thankful that we are. And what I did to get out of that situation was I start telling myself, you cannot let anybody or anything get you
Right.
to this point. You have to be strong. You have to be, you have kids. You have to be there for them. There's no way out unless you're
Right.
taking them with you. And I don't mean like kill up everybody. I mean like don't kill yourself, bitch, because you have kids that you have
Mm-hmm.
to take care of. And so I started trying to build up my self confidence again, try to get my self worth, see my self worth, and from there I start building myself back up. And not saying that we didn't have it more hiccups because we have had more hiccups, but now 6 years later, we're in a very much better place. We're at a better understanding. There was a lot of apologies on both sides. So it can be salvaged. Now, what will happen in the future, I don't know. But I know that the stuff that happened in the past won't happen again because we
Yeah.
grew up. We've learned. So that's my little story. It's very emotional because I still have issues from back then. I don't dwell on the past, but when you go into depression, anxiety, all that kind of stuff, it
No,
doesn't go
it
away.
doesn't.
It stays and it lingers. And you have to learn how to deal with it. Now, again, I didn't go to therapy because, oh, why am I going to therapy? I don't need therapy. Da, da, da. When all reality, if I had went, I might have been able to be in a better place emotionally, but still, I to this day still have
Right.
emotional issues. But
And of course, like, I don't
I don't
want you
know
to
how.
blame yourself. That's not like anxiety is not something that like just it happens. It's not something that you forced on yourself. Like, and it's just sad. Of course, like after you have a baby, it's like your body changes. You go through all these motions, and then on top of that, you still gotta raise this little butterball. So, but like,
Pumpkin and Alana was old. Alana was, I think, 4 when. Let me see. Alana is 11. Yeah, so she was like 5 when Junior was born because he's turning 6. Okay, so yeah, she was 5 when he was born, but then turned 6 because he's about to turn 6 and she's gonna turn 12.
Lord.
Oh my god. So yeah, I had 2 kids that I had to still take care of, and I had a girl that I don't want her to see what I'm going through because she doesn't need to know this, and I can't. And even if she does see it, she's watching how I'm going to react, how I'm going to handle the situation. I can't let and then too, I feel like it made me a stronger person because I've learned how to deal with certain situations. Did I deal with them appropriately? Probably not. because I feel like I really did need to talk. And that was another thing. I always kept things in instead of talking about it. So by me keeping things in, it tears you apart. It
Right.
really does.
The I want to say a quote by uh Zora Neale Hurston. But she did say if you're silent about your pain, uh they'll kill you and say you enjoyed it. And that's so true
Mm.
because how do we get blamed for our own anxiety or depression? Like if someone is, I mean, it's a mental health issue, but to add to it, and for some, of course it's gaslighting. People adding to it, people stressing you out about it, and it's like the way you feel about yourself. Just like JB, I'm gonna throw away all his best just just for that. But I mean, I know every, like, if that had continued to happen, then I would be like, all right, me and him gonna have to box. But like people say things like, I know I've said stuff that is probably like, what the hell is wrong with you? But
Mm-hmm.
as long as that person acknowledges it, because it happens. I know this board is not
Yeah,
about to fall down. Anyway, so it happens. Like I said, I've said stuff that, may have been something that hurt that person, like you or anybody that I was talking to. But as long as I take responsibility and I acknowledge that, hey, what I said to you was hurtful, what I said to you was wrong, and I'm not gonna say it anymore, or I'm gonna work on not saying things like that to hurt you, then that's how you grow, that's how you learn.
exactly. I 100% agree. But yeah, I don't really talk about certain things too much. I'm sure you know, of course
Mm.
you know, but like, as far as just speaking out, I usually don't. So that's why I'm kind of having a hard time. And of course, I don't want anybody to look bad, especially if for things that happened in the past, because people can evolve, they can grow up, they can learn, from their mistakes. I have personally, I've made a lot of mistakes in my life that whether I regret it or not, I still grew from
Mm.
it. I'm woman enough to apologize for my mistakes. Of course, not all the time you feel like you should, but at this point in my life, I'm 30 years old. I know right from wrong. I know when I'm wrong. And I have to check myself a lot of the time. Me and him could have a whole argument, and I could be sitting here like, the sky is purple.
Mm.
He'll say, babe, look outside. Is it blue? No, the fuck it's not. It's purple. You just sitting here lying, and all the while it's blue. And then I'm like, okay, it's blue. Okay. I'm sorry. And even if I wanted to argue that, I didn't have to say it that way. I'm sorry. Like that's my bad. I shouldn't have elevated to that point where I'm now yelling and calling you a liar and all this other for what? You
Right.
know? It's just everybody out. And sometimes it's not what you say, sometimes it's how you say it. But that's another conversation for another
It's in my okay, so how to deal with toxic breakups. Um I mean, this may or may not work for you, but I know for me, blocking. Blocking is number one. Blocking this part, because even if they're not the type of person that will constantly hit you up, it's just the memory of them, and like kind of distancing yourself away from them. That's number one. But we're talking about toxic breakups, that is so important, because this person is trying to get back with you, and you broke up for a reason, you're unhappy. So in order to get your mind out of that headspace, you need to distance yourself away as much as possible. Okay, so realizing you deserve better. That's another thing that when dealing with toxic breakups. So a lot of times when whoever you're with, they'll say, well, you can't do better. You can't do better than me, or you'll never find someone like me. Well, I hope I don't find anybody like you because I don't want to deal with you at all. Like, those are things that try to draw you back in. But honestly, like I said, you deserve better. No relationship should be that hard. And I know relationships can be hard because of differences of opinions, lifestyles, things like that. But it shouldn't get to a point where it becomes abusive. So, and I mean, it's very far and in between when you can find a guy or a person that is willing to accept who you are rather than trying to put you in this box to where you're like, changing. Like, a lot of, for this is just a little example, but I've been with guys that are like, I want you to wear heels more. I want you to wear heels when we go out. Like, we're not going to go out. Sir, my feet hurt and I got a child. I don't have time for heels sometimes, so you can get whatever comes out this house. And but it gets to the point where they're like mad just because you're not doing it. So, and just so, but yeah, so making sure that um you put, like I keep on saying this, put yourself first. Make sure that that person realizes who you are as a person and accepts you for who you are. I'm not saying accepting everything, because some traits that people have are toxic and need to be checked. But as far as your core beliefs and like who you are as a person, make sure that person accepts you for who you are. And if they don't, deuces. Because if that person is not trying to accept you for who you are, they're trying to change you to fit you into what they want you to be. And that's not fair.
Yeah, I agree. Wait, what are we doing now?
Oh, how to deal with toxic breakups.
Oh, yes, I 100%, 100% agree. Like, I am the queen of cutting people off. Like Akasa will tell you, I'm the queen of cutting people off. So I feel like blocking, like if they keep hitting you up, blocking them is your best option.
So the other thing, or the other way how to deal with toxic breakups, even when you have a talk with this person after you broke up, make sure you don't rush decisions. Make sure that, if you sit down with if you do choose to sit down with this person, and they're telling you all these things that they think you want to hear, don't rush into any decision right away, because that's how they reel you back in. That's how they're like, okay, if I tell her all this stuff, it we can get back together or whatever. So if that person is like, hey, I love you, I want to get back with you, and sometimes because of love, sometimes because of that, if you've been together for a long time, sometimes you consider that when you're making that decision. But what I would suggest is make sure that don't make any decisions right away, but go home, sit by yourself, and think about all the things that they're saying. But then also consider the fact that if they didn't do that before, how do you really
What
think
makes you
they're
do
going
it
to do
now?
that now? Yeah. So just don't rush in any decision making.
I agree. Um, I know I said this earlier, but reaching out to people that's close to you, that are your support, is crucial too, because you'll need that to help cope. You might need them to get out of the situation, period, but they will be there to be your backbone and to help you through it.
Yeah.
um, I do have another article here that also has other stuff, which surround yourself with positive people, of course. I just said that.
Mm-hmm.
Maintain a good and constant support group, both hand in hand. Um, Practice self care. So
Yeah.
this is like reading a book, get yourself something, exercise, treat your body well, get yourself feeling better. physically. I know most times I look like a trash bag, but like even
Shut
today,
up. Because
even
Mel, first
today,
of all, little side note, Melly bought a makeup palette and she did her makeup really good today. So shut
I
up.
was well, because you know what, with quarantining and being in the house constantly, I have no reason to get dressed. I like taking clothes on. Um, I really have no reason to do my hair. So I was like, you know what? I do need to use my credit card to, to get my credit backed up, keep it fluctuating.
Mm.
So I went and I bought some stuff from Ulta, and I did get a new eyeshadow palette. And I was like, you know what? I did my hair yesterday. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do a full face just to get my skills up because they're in the trash too. They're in the trash with the trash bag, but get myself. And you know what? I felt so good afterwards, honestly. Like, I was feeling myself. I mean, it was probably still not as good as I would like it to be. So that would take practice, but I still made myself feel good by getting my eyebrows done, doing my makeup, doing my hair. I didn't feel like so exhausted and slouchy and grouchy.
Self
So
care.
it does help. And even like when I was working, I the days that I would do like my little eyeshadow and eyeliner and lip gloss or whatever, I felt better. If I have my eyebrows done, oh, can't tell me shit. So it does help.
Yeah.
Let's see. Do not allow feelings of regret or self doubt to manifest on a regular basis. I 100% agree because you will tear yourself apart
Mm-hmm.
from the inside out.
Thinking you're wrong and you're nothing's wrong with you.
Exactly. And you don't want to blame yourself for
Mm.
any of it because nothing that you could have done would equate to you being treated like,
Mm-hmm.
especially in an abusive relationship. There's no excuse for it. Um and this is another one. So we all know about rebounds. Jump out of one relationship, try to make yourself feel better with another one.
Mm-hmm.
Give yourself time to stuff together. You don't have to be in a relationship to be happy. And I had to learn that too, but because I was never one that liked to be alone. But once I started being alone, it was fine. And you know what? I've also in this, even in my marriage, I had to learn how to do stuff on my own and make myself happy.
Mm-hmm.
I've had situations where I wanted to go do certain things and he wasn't interested. I had nobody else interested in going. So and at first I was like, I'm not gonna go out to eat by myself and sit by myself. That's all lonely. I want to go to a concert. Oh, I can't go to a concert by myself, so I'm just not gonna go. You will constantly set yourself back and cause yourself not to be able to live.
Mm-hmm. I'm
And
telling you, I learned that quick. Melody used to ask me because I used to go. I still go places by myself, but like before, Melody used to be like, "Why did you go by yourself?" And I'm like, "I don't know, because I wanted to." Because I learned how to be alone, and of course, sometimes like I want to be with people, but I've learned how to be alone.
mm-hmm. It's a hard pill to swallow at first, but it's not a bad thing. And just like for instance, my K-pop, I love K-pop, I love BTS, I love a lot of. What are you singing?
I don't know. I don't know any K-pop songs, so I made one.
It might sound like one. But so I went to three different concerts by myself. And you know what? I had a damn good time. And
Mm.
you know what? When you go somewhere like that by yourself, you have other people that are there by themselves too, and you end up meeting them and becoming friends or seat buddies because they're sitting there next to you. Um, and you end up having a good time with them or by yourself. You're so focused on the reason why you're there that you don't even worry about being by yourself.
Right.
So I mean, I've learned how to do it, and I was always adamant about not wanting to do things by myself, and now I can do everything by myself. I probably prefer to do things by myself because when I'm in the car, I can listen to whatever I want. I don't have to worry about, oh, I don't like this song. I don't have to worry about that. I could change every song that comes on. I can blast it. I could not listen to anything. I can listen to my own thoughts and just get my emotions correct. When I get
Mm.
there, I don't have to worry about them going somewhere. And like when you go somewhere with somebody, especially a crowded place like that, like you want to stay with them because it's so many people and
Right.
you don't know what is, so what can happen. Thank God they always usually have a good crowd of fans that they don't do stuff like that, but you never know. So it's hard. It's hard when you're with somebody versus when you're by yourself, but it is still hard when you're by yourself because, again, trafficking is so bad now. It's always been bad.
Yeah.
It seems like it's worse, or maybe it's just more in our face. So it's not a good thing. But as long as you're, doing proper precautions, I think it's fine.
Right.
But okay. Talking about your feelings, which can be very difficult. Very difficult. I had to learn how to do this too.
Yeah.
Well, Akasa, like I'm not one to. I could be going through something and I just will not say nothing. I'm getting better at it, but I'm not. It's not there 100%.
Mm.
Um, Seeking professional help if necessary. Um, Not being afraid of telling your story, which I think is important. And Akasa and I have both told stories um, about our past that reflects on these topics and stuff. So, and I feel like it could help somebody, and that's the only reason why we wanted to be so transparent.
Right.
So that way, if you're going through this, you're not alone. You're never alone.
Exactly.
And it can happen to anybody, and it can happen so fast and so easily you don't even realize it's happening. Um,
Mhm. Don't lose yourself. And even if you're not in a abusive relationship, this goes across the board. Don't lose yourself within a relationship. Like, don't make yourself so dependent in whatever relationship you're in, that if something were to happen to this person, whether they leave you, whether they die, whether anything could happen, and you don't want to just lose yourself, because then, like, after something happens, then you're like, oh my God, what do I do now? So try not to lose
you don't
yourself.
are anymore.
Exactly. So just, make sure you still carve out space for yourself, for healing, for self-care, for things that you're interested in and want to do. So,
Yes, I agree.
oh my God, I'm hot. I was like, this wine has me hot.
Uh-oh. You know what? I was sitting here drinking my wine and I'm like, yeah, I should have poured a glass of Crown Royal instead of this wine for this today.
The Crown Royal.
Crown Royal. Oh my god, I gotta make you a drink when you get up here. So Casa, um oh, are we wrapping up?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So I just want to let everybody know, because this is exciting news. So Akasa will be coming to New Jersey
Beep,
soon.
beep, 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 beep. And my ticket was only $42.
Rent a trip for two. When I tell you guys, I am so freaking excited.
Um,
Like so excited. Oh my god. You would think that I haven't seen her in a million years. It feels like that.
I know. I'm like excited to come up because I really need a break from Atlanta. Atlanta, y'all out here wilding. So, yeah.
I said what I said.
Like, yeah, but who gonna fight me? Nobody.
Right.
Oh, what is it? Who gonna check me, boo? Like y'all are. Y'all not doing the right thing. So yeah.
Exactly. So I say all that to say that we should have some probably video content coming out. We'll be able to record together, like
Mm-hmm.
together, because we'll be physically together. So that's exciting. Excuse the screaming in the background because it's these damn kids that needs to go to bed. Um,
Oh,
so,
it's still
uh,
up.
so next week we promise we'll have a fun topic. I know this one was very heavy. We still have like stories to tell that can coincide, but we won't. Or at least
Mm-hmm.
not now. This is a long one. So Akasa, is there anything you want to say before we give out these very important numbers?
Love yourself.
Love yourself.
Love yourself. And I mean, I joke around a lot, but for real, love yourselves. I know it's hard because we have all these things coming at us in the world, COVID, the orange agent in the White House, the like we got all these things that are telling us not to make ourselves the number one priority, but make sure that you make yourself the number one priority.
And nobody's gonna do for you what you can do for you.
Exactly. Don't let nobody come in your life try to change it. Like don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't do it. And then, like me and Melly, we had to grow as far as learning from our past, learning from um different relationships, and of course it's hurtful, but it also gives us the drive to never
Oh wait, you're breaking up.
hear me. Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
But we've all been in relationship, not all, but we've been in relationships where it just sucked. But at the same
Mm-hmm.
time, I don't like, we had to learn from them. We had to grow from them, and just make sure that you learn and grow, and like I said, put yourself first.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. And if you ever need us, we are always
And
here.
if
Even though
you see somebody with a bayang, don't do it.
I hate you. Oh Jesus, I hate you.
Not the bayang. Okay, good.
Oh,
This week's Black owned business of the week is Nini's Fem Health Wellness Shop. She has all different types of products for women. She has pads, she has Fem wipes, she has Fem wash. She has if you guys know what like the vaginal steaming is, she has herbs for that too. She has waist beads, she has oils, all types of stuff, and it's all organic, it's all healthy. I actually bought some pills from her the a couple weeks ago. And it's actually for like if you want to get your libido up. So I got that. And I feel a little bit of difference there. So, but she has like all different types of things. The woman that owns it, I'm trying to find her. Oh, her name is Narissa Fertieri. Um, so she's like a really dope person that or I'm sorry, she's a really dope woman that talks to you about or teaches you about, you know, our bodies as women, how to take care of them, how to be healthy, especially your yoni, your vagina. So yeah, that's one thing. And I love my
That
I love my vagina, so and everyone should love their vagina. So
I would.
she has let's see yeah, she has all types of things for, you know, your women health or yeah, your women health and stuff like that. So her Instagram is Nene Nene Fem Health FemHealth. So hit her up, guys.
Yes, hit her up. All right. Anyway. Okay, so as we said before, we're gonna give you guys all of the resources that we found, the different websites, in all, and we're gonna and all the numbers, all the numbers to the different hotlines if you need help, if you just need support, anything. Just don't do anything to hurt
Right.
yourself. We love you. Okay, so the first number that we have is the National Domestic Violence Hotline. So you can call 1-800 799 SAFE. So that's 1-800 799 7233. The next number that we have is the National Suicide Prevention Hotline. That's 1-800-273 TALK. So 1-800-273-8255. The next one is National Sexual Assault Hotline. That's 1-800-656-HOPE. So 1-800-656-4673. Love is respect. And this is dating abuse and domestic violence. So 1-866, I'm sorry, 331-9474. So that's 1-866-331-9474. Goodness, I want to say seven so bad. The Mental Illness Hotline, National Alliance on Mental Health, Mental Illness, 1-800-950-6264. That's 1-800-950-6264. And I did mess this. Okay. I thought I messed up. Okay. I messed up the typo. All right. And we have also the National Eating Disorder Association. And I added this one in because, like I was telling in my story, I stopped eating completely. And it was due to stress and everything. And some people go through like bulimia and anorexia and all kinds of stuff. So I just wanted to put these in there too. It's 1-800-931-2237. So 1-800-931-2237. And the last one for people that might not want to call, we have a general crisis text line. So this could be for any crisis. Text support to 741-741. So that's support to 741-741.
Beep, 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 beep.
So we look forward to having more deep conversations with you guys. I know this one could have been triggering for many reasons. We just want to everybody to be healthy and happy. And we want to, if we can help prevent things from happening, or help you realize what you're going through is not a good
Mm,
thing, then that's what we're out here to do. We're here to help. We're not here to criticize or anything like that or shame. None of
right.
that. Okay, so next week we will have something upbeat and fun and all that good stuff. So make sure you tune into Babbling with Besties next week.
Bye,
Okay, guys.
guys.
Bye.